Thank you. I'm going to go back to CRA audit. As a CPA in public practice for 26 years, I had many occasions to sit on hold and waste lots of time with waiting for CRA, especially when the service levels have gone down in the last few years. You've got a lot of information in the report. The report specifically showed that how there was number of agents that ballooned in 22, 23, and then they've come back down. Did you see any reasons for the changing of the number of agents, and how much, or was that affected by the push to go to self-service with regards to my account and online, or is there other reasons to why the number of agents have decreased?
I think obviously the number of agents and the tools they have a direct impact on the timeliness and the quality of service that's received. We asked Canada Revenue Agency about sort of the fluctuations in the number of agents, and it was based on their budget and the constraints and over periods of time. So the goal was to have people use more self-serve with my account and the chatbot. But as I mentioned previously, it resulted in more calls in just trying to access my account.
Okay, for part of that, well, dealing with several seniors, lots of seniors that are not going to be dealing with online services, and several people that may not even be seniors that are not technically able to deal with those. They're going to be relying much more on these call centers. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the stats that you had in here, you said that only 17% of the non-specific information was actually accurate, and that also that only the annual training and analysis was about 30 minutes per agent, which to me means there's virtually no training on there, which would lead to the quality of the calls. Now, is there any evidence that CRA, giving you all these information, that they actually have programs to, you're saying they don't have the tools, so what do they actually have that was going to increase the quality of these agents going forward?
So I agree with you. I remember I could help my dad with his tax return, but he always preferred calling the Canada Revenue Agency to get an answer. So I can appreciate that many people want to call and speak to someone. They had quality evaluations and those quality evaluations highlighted either gaps in information.
But that's just for statistics. It doesn't say how are they actually training them to get them there.
What was missing from there is that there was very little actionable feedback given to an agent or an agent supervisor.
Almost no training then.
And as a result, there was very little training. So we made a recommendation about sort of triaging the calls and saying that if it's about my account, put it in one area, different set of trainings and skills needed there, versus if it's about tax questions and meeting your obligations. There's a different set of skills and tools needed there. And we hope that that will help improve the service going forward.
So just going back to that, also, is there any evidence that you showed as to that they were addressing the timing of these calls? I mean, we've got lots of statistics, but as I learned from a stats professor in universities, there's damn lies in statistics. So having the statistics doesn't mean anything if they're not going to actually do something about it and have an ability to help their agents do it. From your analysis, was there anything in there that was saying they're going to actually try and adjust these by giving them, their agents, the tools?
I agree. You can make statistics tell just about any story, and that's why it's important to always balance the statistics that you look at. I think I would point to the evaluation for the agents, and less than 10% of it was placed. Importance was placed on the accuracy and completeness of a response. And when you set that out, the culture that you set out is not one on focusing in on getting the answer right, but one on focusing in on adhering to schedules or meeting call volumes. So I think fundamentally they need to start there. what you measure ends up in results. And so you need to measure more accurate, place more importance on accuracy.
You just made a point there on the culture. So would you say that there's a lack of culture to address meeting the taxpayer rights as to getting their rights as a taxpayer satisfied?
I think that's a tricky question to answer because in the Canadian tax system, it's a voluntary system where the onus is placed on you and me and everyone else in the country to provide our tax return with accurate information. Canada Revenue Agency's responsibility is to support taxpayers in doing that. And what we found is that they're waiting too long and not getting accurate responses when they call.
Thank you very much. That is your time, Mr. Stevenson. Up next, Mr. Housefather for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you and happy anniversary. Really appreciate your work. When was the last date at which you collected information for this audit?
The Canada Revenue Agency
Canadian
audit. Our audit period ended on June 30th, but we did conclude that we had all of the information we needed in October.
Okay. And as part of this, you didn't track the 100-day plan that the government has now put into effect, right? Because that sort of, any benefits from that would have come after the date. Have you been able to observe since then any changes that have happened as a result of the 100-day plan that are appreciable changes that you are satisfied with?
So you're right, the 100-day plan was issued after the end of our audit period. So I am aware of it. I looked at it, and that's why I said earlier in combination with that 110-day plan in combination with the actions in response to our recommendations, I hope will improve service time and service quality.
Can I ask a question? One of the things that I found bizarre was Charlie, the chatbot, who, great name, who you said, I'm just going to quote from you, we found that Charlie provided accurate answers on only 2 of the 6 questions we asked it, while other publicly available web conversational artificial intelligence tools answered 5 out of the 6 questions correctly. Like, how is it that the government's tool, specialized for the CRA, is worse than the average tool that anyone else can access anywhere?
It's an excellent question to ask the Canada Revenue Agency. Charlie Chatbot was only populated with real general personal income tax information. So when we did ask questions around business taxes, it had a hard time because of how it was designed. So it's about whether or not they plan on expanding that and completing the population. I think would be a great question to Canada Revenue Agency.
Oh, and definitely, I'm sure we'll all ask it. It's just that you had said it's like paragraph 36, and you'd said that the recommendation for that was paragraph 43, but there's nothing that I've found in the recommendations that seem to suggest that they needed to revise this tool, or, I mean, you certainly talked in general about how they needed to make information more available, but should they change this tool? Should they eliminate Charlie Chat and find another conversant chat tool that will do a better job? Or is it simply a matter that they need to upload more information into this existing tool to allow it to have more comprehensive answers?
Mm-hmm. I think our recommendation really focused in on improving the accuracy and timeliness of responses. It's not right for me to say to the Canada Revenue Agency, you should eliminate or enhance Charlie. That's a management decision. But no matter what tool they choose, I think they have to consider that Canadians, some want self-serve and some want to speak to an agent. Right? So you need to improve the quality and responsiveness of both.
And I agree with that. Like, because personally, I totally prefer not talking to the person. I totally prefer getting the information online. But I get it that there are people like your dad and probably my parent that want to talk to an agent.
Thank you.
Can I go to the cyber?
You tabled your document in the House of Commons, and since that time, earlier, there's been a lot of reaction. Are we to understand that your report shines light on the situation of the most vulnerable, rather than just an accountant who knows by heart the ins and outs of fiscal matters? Your report is intended to shine light on the major flaws of the CRA. because 95% of the time people have to wait online. So what is the message you're seeking to send to Canadians with this specific report? I hope that Canadians understand that I recognize and understand myself their frustration. It is the responsibility of each taxpayer to file their taxes. It's very reasonable, therefore, for them to expect to have access to CRA agents on a timely basis and in a timely fashion. And so, with the money that's being spent on these communications and call centers, taxpayers' money, the results should be better. Well, how come there's been such a decline over the past years? There's always been concerns, but why has it so dramatically worsened? Well, we have to say that there have been some improvements since 2017. The introduction of understanding where you are in the queue, your position in the wait time, or also you have an option to wait online or to self-manage. And there are certain other things that have been improved. But with respect to the tax basis per se and the tax aspect, there has been little improvement. There's the importance of exact and complete answers should be accentuated. And that should be the basis on which agents are evaluated and assessed. Thank you very much for your report and for what you have been trying to correct over the past years, because the first victims are always the most vulnerable. And what you are trying to do to improve CRA